Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is the Mutt, my Ford Ranger Truggy rock crawler. Getting ready to start another round of modifications. So stick around, come back, and we'll get into it, and I'll show you what I got planned next. Okay, so got a couple minor modifications planned for the Truggy after the last trip. Hopefully you watched the videos from the Windrock trip on the Big Rig Roundup. Had a couple things pop up that I want to take care of. Number one, I did again have a slight problem with transmission fluid temps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a modification to the rear auxiliary transmission cooler on this truck. I have a Derale, it's a double stacked trans cooler with its own fan that's mounted underneath the bed. That's underneath the bed floor, which the bed floor is just open, expanded metal. We did experience some leaves falling on one of the days, and the entire bed of the truck filled with leaves. And from that happening, basically cut off the airflow through my tranny cooler. Tranny got pretty warm. I also had a problem. One of the wires melted going to the fan, so I lost the cooling fan to the tranny cooler. So what I'm going to do is I have an idea. It's kind of 50% for function and 50% for aesthetics. I'm going to be changing up the arrangement. I'm going to be adding another cooler for more fluid capacity, and it's another one with a fan. So I'm going to have more fluid capacity and two auxiliary fans for the transmission. I'll show you how that's going to lay out. And another thing I noticed, going back watching my videos on how the truck performed in Windrock, the truck was super stable, handled everything fine. The truck just handled great. But one thing I want to experiment with is my TK1 Racing rear anti-roll bar. I almost feel like it was a little too stiff in controlling the rear articulation on the truck. I felt like all the articulation was happening in the front suspension of the truck, and it was keeping the front almost, or keeping the rear suspension almost too level with the chassis. So what I'm going to try is I ordered a longer center bar for the anti-roll bar, which is going to add 2 inches to it, which essentially is going to make the bar a little bit lighter. It's going to put less force on the chassis, and it's going to allow it to articulate a little bit easier. So that'll be a simple upgrade, just a matter of unbolting that bar, putting in the longer one. I'll be going from a 16-inch to an 18-inch arm now. So we'll be doing that and see how that performs. So that's what we're going to get into. So I'm going to go ahead and change up clothes here, and we're going to get into it. So first, this is going to be the new transmission cooler that I'm going to add to the truck. I have this exact same one already mounted underneath the bed floor right now. So I'm going to grab that one. I'm going to take it out. And essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be mounting it up here on the secondary hoop of the roll cage. And what's going to happen is the second one is going to get mounted right here next to it. So the transmission lines are going to come up out of the chassis. They're going to come into this one, loop through all of this, come out here and run directly into the other one, run all through, and then come back down. So I'll have 2 coolers with 2 fans, and they're going to be standing up in this orientation right there behind the cab of the truck. So there's no way for anything to block the airflow going through them, and they're not really going to hinder my view or anything else from the cab. I have my rear view camera mounted all the way to the back of the bed. I don't even need to really look out the back window anymore anyway. So, and plus, going with the whole trophy crawler theme of the truck, You know, most of them trophy trucks have the radiators mounted back there with the big fans on them anyway. I don't have that, but I think this will kind of play into that look a little bit. So, like I said, aesthetically, I think it'll look pretty badass having the two coolers up there with the fans and everything. So that's another reason why I'm doing it too. So, but I think it's going to make them work a lot better being mounted in that orientation anyway. Plus, I did have a really close call in Windrock when we were kind of getting it down some of the trails. I did kick up a branch that did get kind of harpooned up over my axle and grab some brake lines. And it looked like it came kind of close to the tranny cooler that's down there. That could have been a catastrophic problem right there if it would have harpooned that cooler down there and punctured that. So figure let's get these up out of the way in a safer spot. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have to come up with a mounting bracket to span across the secondary hoop of the bed cage to get these mounted. Come up with something kind of cool there. And yeah, get everything replumbed, which should be really easy, and get them mounted up. Okay, step one in the process was empty out the bed. So I got the spare tire out of the way, and I got the first trans cooler. Trying to figure out now, I do have a little bit of interference problem with where this tire is going to be, is really close to where the fan on this tranny cooler is going to be. I don't want to block it, so need to figure out, I don't know if doing two coolers across this way or if actually putting a cooler here, and I have room, it looks like, to do literally two coolers stacked right here where the spare tire is, and then it won't impede anything out my back window at all. So I don't know if that's the way to go or just go all the way across, but that'd have to be up kind of high. So decisions. I know I'm gonna have to play around with this to see which way is going to be the best way to go. But I still have the tranny cooler down underneath the bed floor. I got to get that out, get the cooler lines off, plug those so they don't make a mess. So yeah, probably should get that off first. So right there, that's where the transmission cooler is right now. I kind of had to move that bracket after I put it in there the first time. Spare tire, when it drops into that hole, hit it. So it wasn't ideal. I had to kind of move it, space it down a little bit on the one side. So wasn't really happy with that to begin with. So this will help rectify that. So let me get this out, and then we'll figure out whether we're going 1-2 or we're going to go 1-2. All right, I ran down to Tractor Supply, grabbed some materials here, and this is what I've come up with. So up in the corners of the hoop and up there, I got some 1 3/4 insulated P-clamps that go around the hoop. And just got some 1-inch bar stock. This is a piece of, I don't know, L channel, whatever. So that will give it some rigidity on the bottom so it can't flex. And each cooler is going to get mounted. It'll get bolted there and there, there and there. And then it'll get bolted up there to those P-clamps there. So that should give it all the rigidity that it needs, so it doesn't flop around or anything. So yeah, that should work pretty good. So I'm going to drill some holes, get the fans mounted up there, see how those look, and yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, here's the first mock-up. This turned out really nice. There's both coolers mounted up there. Let's get everything kind of loosely bolted together. Rolled the spare tire back in there. Got plenty of clearance. And then from this side, this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to tie another bracket. It'll tie both of these together and then up to that P-clamp on both sides. She'll be nice and stiff. No issues there. And then, yeah, from this side here, yeah, it looks really cool. I don't think the tire is going to interfere with the airflow at all. Got plenty of clearance there. It's going to work really good. So I'll get all this mocked up. I got a drill mark for a couple more holes. So then I'll pull this off and I'll have to get it all cleaned up and painted. And then what I'll do is I'll make a hose to tie the two coolers together at the top. And then my tranny lines right here, those will just come up. One will loop there. There'll be an inlet. Everything will go through here, transfer across, loop through that one, come right back out this one, and drop right back down. Nice and simple. All right, I like it. Very trophy truck. Trophy crawler. I like it. All right, let me get this tire out of the way. Okay, here's my finished bracket design. Now that I got it down, all I got to do is I'm going to weld these here and here, there and there. Then this whole bracket will be one solid piece that I can go ahead and take the coolers off. And then it'll be real easy to, then I can go ahead and clean it all up, paint it. Then I can go ahead and throw the bracket back up on the hoop of the cage, get it all bolted up, and then I can go ahead and put the coolers up one by one, nice and easy. Be super easy to assemble then. And then I can go ahead and do some plumbing. I got to run down to the local speed shop. I am 190-degree fitting short to do what I need to do. So I'll go grab a fitting. And yeah, this is turned out really cool. I'm happy I went this route. This is going to look really cool, and this should definitely, if this does not cure the tranny temp problems, nothing will. So, all right, let me get these coolers off, get this all tacked up, then I'm going to clean everything up, and we're going to get some good thick coats of paint on this so it never rusts, and then we'll get it all bolted up.
Okay, I got the bracket all finished. It's all painted, mounted up. Fans are both all mounted permanently now. I got all the plumbing done. Got the feed and return line routed up through the bottom. Actually worked out. I didn't have to change those fittings to 90s. The way the coolers are misaligned a little bit. Straight fittings missed each other. Made a quick little push lock fitting to transfer across the top. So I just got to do the wiring for the two fans. I'm going to just run the wiring across the top right down this main hoop and connect the power right down here. And then that's it. So it's just a couple seconds away from being done. Turned out pretty good. So I'll get this wiring done. I just got to go underneath the truck. I got to pull some of this excess hose back through and just kind of zip tie it up out of the way, make it look nice and neat. And that's a wrap for this. And then next thing is I got my new arms from TK1 Racing came in, so I can get the sway bar project taken care of next. So let's get this wrapped up and moving on. All right, there it is. She's plumbed, she's wired, she's done. Just ran all the wires over there down that part of the hoop. Everything's hooked up. So yeah, let's throw the key on here. I have the wiring. The relay is just to a manual switch in my center console now. Let me show you how I got that. So I can just I can watch my temperature tranny temp gauge there. So when my trans temps get too high, all I got to do is right there throw that switch on, which is on right now. So I'm gonna throw the key on. And there we go. They work. If I had any hair, it'd be blowing in the wind right now. Nice. Okay. So if that don't fix the problem, nothing will. I'm going to do an EV conversion on it. All right, so I'm going to throw the tire back in. We're done with this. Get that monster in here. So we're going to call that a success. After I got to top off the tranny fluid. So I got to fire it up, let everything circulate, and top it off. But yeah, we're done. All right. Now that the tranny cooler stuff is done, we're going to move on to the sway bar. So the sway bar, what I have in here is already have the smallest torsion bar that TK1 makes. It's a 1-inch, call it the rock crawler bar. So I can't go to any smaller bar to have less power. I don't know what you would call it. The control on the chassis to the axle. I know I'm using the wrong terminology here, but so the only way to get more articulation out of it is to lessen the power, and that is to put a longer arm on here. So this 16-inch arm here, I'm going to lengthen it 2 inches here to make it an 18-inch arm. So what's going to happen, it's going to work out pretty good, is by putting this arm on here, my current setup, which is at the farthest adjustable point on this current arm, is going to now be the tightest link that I'm going to have on the new arm. And it'll give me 2 more options to soften this bar up. So I'll have the current setup that I have now for street driving, and I'll have 2 more that I can loosen it up for rock crawling. And when I move it back to the loosest point, hopefully it'll allow a little more articulation and soften up the rear suspension. And, hopefully that will allow the truck to be a little more balanced off-road and allow the front and rear to flex, hopefully equally, and not push the front to do the majority of the flexing and articulating. So it's going to be super simple here. Just got to pull this one link off here, pull these 3 bolts out here, and just swap the arms out both sides. It's going to be real simple. So knock this out real quick, and that'll be it for that. So okay, let the old arm out. Obviously they used anti-seize where it keys in there, so I will go ahead, Eric, you're good, you can blast that in. I'll put a little bit of anti-seize on here where this one's going to key in. So put a little bit of anti-seize on there. And then a little bit of a blue Loctite on the bolts. I'm going to have to go crazy. So it's going to go right back on there. And the link, I'll just slide the Heim right back in there to kind of hold it up into place. There we go. There, just kind of hold it. I'm not going to tighten all this up. I'm going to go throw the other side together too while everything's kind of loose and I got some slop in here. Then once the other side's all together, then I'll go back and I'll start tightening everything up. But, oh wait, I put that in the wrong, I can fix that, but, see, I put it in the end one, I got it all the way in the one with the least amount of leverage. That's the word I was looking for earlier. A smart man told me that earlier. So, I'm going to move it up to put a little more leverage on the chassis. So it'll street drive good and keep the chassis flat around corners. But that way when I get to wherever I'm going off-roading and I want a little less leverage on the chassis, I can go ahead and move that link back to that farthest hole and that'll let it articulate. So, all right. So anyway, let me get all this done, get the other side done, and we'll pick this up when it's basically all finished. So leverage is the word of the day. All right, and there it is. Nice, simple modification. Sway bar arm changed from a 16-inch to an 18-inch. I ended up just go ahead and setting it all the way to the farthest setting just so I can go out for a test drive, and I guess I should be able to notice right away a big difference in how it handles right off the bat. So that's what I'm going to start with, and then I can bring it back in and I can move it to the tightest setting. So that's what I'm going to go with. So that's it. We're done there. So tranny coolers are done. I'm not going to bother to record it, but I'm going to go ahead and drop all the tranny fluid, do a complete flush on it, get all that finished up, and then take this big old turd out for a test drive and see how she works. All right, that's a wrap for this one. Short, sweet, nothing too crazy. Just the two quick, simple projects. That'll be it. I don't have nothing really major planned for this. No big trips upcoming. Going to be kind of pulling back this year on this. Don't have no big plans for nothing. I do have the 88 Bronco 2 to get back in here to figure out the transmission leak, and the Coyote Swap T-Bird. I do have plans to get that finished up here. So there will be upcoming videos on that coming before you see probably any more on this. So this, I'm just going to be out cruising it and enjoying it, and just probably beating the hell out of it. So that's about it. So yeah, give it a like, leave me a comment, share it. Don't forget, check out Random Adventures on Instagram, my Facebook page. Check out the stuff posted on there. A lot of it's all the same stuff, but anyway, check it out, give it a like, and we'll see you on the next one. I appreciate you guys. Later.